The business of the NBA continues. Free agency begins at 5 o'clock Friday, Chicago time, when teams can start talking to the various free agents. Wink, wink, they can just start. They've been talking to him for months.
No.
I mean, where do all these rumors come from? Hey, before we start talking about basketball, we want to welcome back the star of the show, Stacy King, who's recuperating in his home. He's had a rough few weeks, and I know, Stacy, all the folks have missed you. They've sent out their well wishes, asking questions. When is Stacy going to be back? We hope to have him back in studio next week, but for now, he's kind enough to join us as he's rehabbing. Why don't you tell the folks how you're doing, Stace?
Well, I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting back to my old self, and which is a good sign. So I'm happy, and I had like a little viral infection, so got it taken care of. I'm feeling strong again. The golden pipes are still here, and as you can see, I went to the mountaintop to see the burning bush. I grew a beard.
Moses, did you drop the tablets?
Yeah, I had the tablets. I came down the hill. The burning bush said, "Hey, look, man, going back down there, you got a lot of stuff to live for and all that stuff. So I'm back, baby."
I heard on social media he was playing a zombie in season 2 of From.
There you go. Just for the part.
Is that true? That's why you were gone for a couple weeks?
Wow, that hurt.
Throat punch on order. Next week, they'll line up for you.
There's about 6 lined up now.
Listen, there's going to be a lot of throat punches administrated when I get back. That's all I'm going to say.
Folks were asking about you at our live draft show last week. We had a great time out there, and it was an interesting night. We didn't expect the Bulls would get into the first round, but they did take a guy who's going to kind of in the mold of Derrick Jones Jr., Julian Phillips, who's a small forward, about 6'7.5". He got a 43-inch vertical. Guy worth taking a flyer in the second round. Maybe can give you some energy off the bench and become a guy that can get you some second chance opportunities.
Well, you know what? If he's developed properly, this could be a guy that could be a starter for you at some point in his career. I mean, he's long, he's athletic, very similar to Derrick Jones Jr., but a little bit further offensively than Derrick Jones Jr. I mean, I love Derrick Jones Jr. You know, I'm a big fan of his, but this kid's got a huge upside. He'll be able to defend, up to 3 positions. Like I said, if developed properly and put the time in, if he spends the summer with DeMar DeRozan, no telling how he'll be in his second season. And you also got to remember too, Mark, everyone seems to forget about the kid from Marquette, Justin Lewis. They forgot about him. This is a kid who I think is going to be on the roster this year. He had a devastating knee injury before the start of the season last year. And, kid's about 6'7", 6'7.5". He's physical. He can play defense. Keep an eye on that name.
Let's get to the news of the last couple of days. The Bulls are bringing back both of their centers from a year ago. Nikola Vucevic agrees, actually signs the new extension. 3-year contract. Some information came out late this afternoon that it's fully guaranteed. 3 years, $20 million. The first year is $18.5 million. Second year, $20 million. Third year, when Nikola will be 35 years old, is at $21.5 million. So I guess the contract will help them in the short term in terms of maybe be able to spend a little bit more in free agency. But then we also found out Andre Drummond. There was a report early in the day that he was leaving, and then we found out that he is exercising his player option to come back. So Vucevic and Drummond will return. Stacey, what do you think about having both centers back?
Well, I mean, listen, unless you're going to blow the team up and completely rebuild, I mean, Vucevic, you got a good deal with Vucevic. Vucevic probably could have commanded more money on the open market. Teams like Phoenix, Boston, before they got Porzingis, his name had been mentioned. You got a big that can stretch the floor, that can rebound. I mean, he's a double-double machine. I know sometimes people want to say, oh, well, empty stats playing on the Bulls team. It's still an NBA game. It's a guy who walks out there and gets you a double-double every night. He's very durable, played 82 games last year. Not too many guys can say they played 82 games. This is a guy that I feel like if you were going to bring a person back, he was probably the guy that you definitely want to bring back. And if you're going to run it back, this is a guy that matches very well with DeMar and Zach LaVine. You've got to have, in this league, minimum 2-3 caliber players that can do some things for you. So, Vooch is an underrated center, Mark. I know he takes a lot of heat, from Bulls fans sometimes. And I know, I'm always screaming, get the ball inside. I think Billy Donovan has to understand that this year. You can't allow him just to sit outside and shoot threes all the time.
There's also a report late this afternoon from our buddy Casey Johnson that the Bulls are apparently talking to Patrick Beverly about coming back. And that one surprised me, Stacey, because he was talking on his podcast, and maybe this was just, braggadocio saying I'm going to get 13 to 15 million. Maybe when he looks around the market, he realizes that maybe staying with the Bulls at a team-friendly deal isn't his worst option.
Yeah, I don't think that he was going to command 12 or 13 million dollars a year. The market is not that way for a player, and not saying that he's not a good player. It's the fact that there's a lot of younger players out there that will demand that mid-level. You got Matt Strus, you got a lot of these guys out there that are going to be in that $12 million range, and and they're young. And Patrick Beverly did a great job last year coming in the second half. Helping turning the mentality of the team around. But I still think the Bulls need to focus on shooting and a point guard. I mean, the true point guard that can get these guys in their sets, take some pressure off DeMar and Zach having to bring the ball up and ISO ball all the time. Get a point guard in here, man. That you can really, really get this team going and play more transitional basketball.
When you look at the list of shooters, free agent guys that are available, and remember, the free agent negotiating period begins at 5 p.m. Chicago time on Friday. Reports have been saying that our guy Max Strus is going to get more than the mid-level exception, which is about $12 million to start. They're saying he may get a contract that starts at $15, $16 million from a team with cap space, like maybe Houston or the Indiana Pacers or Detroit. Other shooters, Eric Gordon was released by the Los Angeles Clippers. He's a little long in the tooth, but he can still shoot it. You've got Javon Carter, who shot 41% on threes with the Bucks last year. He's a local guy from Proviso East. George Niang, the minivan from the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Lakers, just a little while ago, cut ties with both Malik Beasley and Mo Bamba. Beasley was a guy that could really shoot it. Now, he's a guy that might fit with the Bulls, Stace.
Yeah, but he really struggled in the second half finding his shot. If you watch the Lakers last year, he lost a lot of playing time towards the end. Austin Reeves started getting a lot of those minutes. Dennis Schroeder. So, he kind of lost. If he's not making shots, Mark, it's just like any shooter. If you're not making shots, how are you helping the team? Are you a defensive stopper? Are you a guy that can set your teammates up? And a lot of these guys are specialists. This is, you say a specialist, he's a rebounder, or he's a defensive stopper, or he's just a shooter. When you're playing on these teams that are trying to get to the playoffs and trying to get deep, you need, if you're going to go a player like that, you go out for a Bruce Brown type player, a guy that can do multiple things for you, even if he's a decent three-point shooter, but he's a guy that he's a jack of all trades. He can guard anybody on the floor. And that's kind of what I would do if I was a team. I would try to set the template of what Denver did, because what we've seen over the last 5 championship teams is not only do they have quality starters, they have quality depth. And that's the most important thing when you're building a championship contender, because in an 82 game season, Mark, your bench is going to be probably responsible for winning 25 to 35 games just from your bench, which now you throw what the starters win. Now you're looking at 50 plus win, 60 plus win season if you got a really good bench. And then when you go to the playoffs, your bench is battle tested. They've been in the wars. They've had to carry the team during the regular season. Now you see a team like Denver's bench step up. Bruce Brown, the kid Christian Brown, who didn't play a lot during the regular season, but got playing time towards the end and showed that he can play. So you got to develop your bench. And that's one thing the Bulls really have to focus on, is developing their bench to go along with their starters. They got some really good bench players, but you got to develop those kids. You got to give them confidence.
AK said that his 2 big priorities in free agency are try to find some shooters and also solidify the point guard position. There are a number of veteran point guards available. We've talked about Derrick Rose a lot. He would probably come at the veterans minimum. I heard something interesting about Russell Westbrook. Because of the Clippers cap situation, The most that they can offer Russell Westbrook on a first-year contract is $3.8 million. So unless he wants to take a huge pay cut, he may start shopping his services. Dennis Schroeder, who's been a good player throughout his career, is also going to be available. So there are guys at the point guard spot who could come at a team-friendly price. Who do you like on that list, Stacey?
Well,
And Patrick Beverly, of course.
Honestly, it's a tough call because, I'm a big Derrick Rose fan. And I still think the kid can play. I think people are reading into him not playing in New York as he can't play anymore. I don't think that's the case. I think what you saw in New York was they went with a younger movement. They started playing quickly more. The kid, Deuce McBride, they started playing the younger guys. And you got to remember, the president of the New York Knicks is also a former agent.
Yeah.
Okay. And, Tibbs pretty much has to do what he wants him to do, and Tibbs, I was talking to somebody about this today. New York had a good enough team, honestly, with Milwaukee struggling and not making it to playoffs. There's no way in the world New York should have lost to Miami with the depth that they had, the quality depth that they had. Tibbs is old school. Tibbs went in and cut his rotation like 7-man, when his bench really did a good job for him this year. And he did that when Derrick Rose really played well off the bench. Went back and started playing a 6-7-man rotation. I think Derrick has a little bit left. If I'm the Bulls, I'm kicking the tires on that. Bringing him in for a workout, see what he's got, see if he can help. Because listen, the Bulls last year had Goran Dragic. Okay, Goran Dragic was almost hurt the whole season. Okay, you can't tell me that Derrick Rose is behind the Dragic, that he can't bring something to the table. So Russell Westbrook would be good, but I don't think he wants to leave LA. I think he'll give the Clippers a hometown discount just because he gets to stay in LA. And then the Clippers are also a championship caliber team.
What do you think of Dante DiVincenzo? He was let go by the Golden State Warriors. It's an interesting name, a guy who can shoot it a little bit, also handle the ball.
Yeah, but he's not a traditional point guard.
Right.
He's a combo guard. He can, I like him. I like him in a role where kind of like Caruso. You're bringing him off the bench. He can guard people. He can make some shots. But I don't know if he can lead your team and get them in their offense and get guys open shots. Because you got to remember, to come to the Bulls, let's say the Bulls run it back because it looks like that's going to happen. Let's say make some kind of trade that we don't know about. One of the things that people forget, and, Lonzo Ball, before injury, Lonzo Ball had this team that is the number one team in basketball, not just the Eastern Conference. They were number one record-wise in the NBA. And what you saw with Lonzo was a guard that can get everybody involved, keep everybody happy, settle people down, get Zach easier shots, more efficient shots, get DeMar more easier shots. And even with Vooch's game, I thought suffered a little bit when Lonzo Ball went out because Lonzo was able to get him easier shots. And so when you lose that kind of player, and we see what kind of player makes that impact, that's the kind of player you want. You want a point guard that's a point guard first, scorer second. You don't want guys who are scorers first. We got enough scorers. We need a guy that can distribute.
Whispers, you got something for Stacey?
Yeah, what about Austin Reeves? They're banting around $100 million for him.
Hey, the kid earned it,
Well, and I like Austin Reeves because he went to Oklahoma. So, right. I'm always gonna pump up my Sooners. I don't know. I don't think the Lakers will probably go over the salary cap to sign him. The interesting thing, if you're Kobe White's agent, you see this kid getting offered that much money with maybe just 1 year of experience. If I'm Kobe White's agent, what is Kobe worth? Kobe has had some good times here in Chicago, and he's had some up and down times here in Chicago. But Kobe White, I'm telling you, people keep sleeping on this kid, man. And I don't want to see Kobe go because I think you're going to see another situation of Kobe doing what Lowry Marketing did, go somewhere and flourish and end up, being a high caliber, all-star caliber player somewhere else. He's got great size. He's got great speed. If we don't go out and get a point guard, I think it's time for Billy Donovan and AK and those guys to put the trust in Kobe, give him the ball, and let's see what he can do. I think he's improved tremendously on the defensive end. He guards people. His decision making is, his ball handling has improved 100%. He's good in the pick and rolls, and I think it's time to give him the keys to the car. He's 6'5". He can shoot the basketball, and this league's all about confidence, Mark. If Billy Donovan came to you right now and said, Mark, I'm gonna give you 30 minutes tonight, you can shoot anytime you want, you're gonna play your game, I'm not gonna pull you out, your confidence level is gonna soar. It's when those coaches put clamps on you and they put restrictions on you, and it takes the confidence away. You've seen it with Io. The confidence has wavered up and down, up and down. You got to start believing in these kids, and you got to start developing them to the point where they can contribute and be big contributors on this team.
Once again, with the start of free agency coming up on Friday, a couple of very familiar names are hijacking the news cycle. Kyrie Irving says he's going to meet with the Phoenix Suns, who could only offer him the veterans minimum. If I'm Kevin Durant, I'm putting up the cross going, get away from me. No way do I want you wrecking my team again. And the other one, Stacey, James Harden opted in to the final year of his deal with the Philadelphia 76ers for $35 million. He probably could have gotten more if he would have gone out in the open market. And according to Adrian Wojnarowski, it's because he wants a trade. So now Harden's looking for a trade. Kyrie's looking for some team to fawn all over him. At some point, we've had enough, haven't we?
Well, listen. With Kyrie, it's just too much trouble, too much baggage. You don't know I thought he was on his his best behavior in Dallas, recognizing that he was going to be a free agent. You just can't trust him. He's got enormous talent. He's probably arguably the best scoring point guard in the league. He feels he's an alpha. He's a number one guy. I don't know if he would fit in. I mean, if you're Phoenix, you need to build your bench.
Right.
You already got three all-time great scorers on your team, and if you don't move Ayton, you've got a big center. So you got 4 quality starters. Now you got to start building your bench and getting some reserves. They're going to be similar to the Miami Heat when Pat Riley, got rid of everybody and then brought back guys on 1-year deals, Mike Millers and Shane Battiers and all these guys who had to take less money because they knew that they'd have a chance to win a championship. And those are the kind of guys that are going to Phoenix. Why would you bring a Kyrie Irving who arguably, just blew up the Brooklyn Nets, with his behavior there? James Harden ain't stupid. Okay. James Harden wasn't going to get no $36 million somewhere else. Let's be real about that. Okay. If he'd had a little bit more manageable contract, let's say that he opted out of like a Draymond Green, 24, 25 million, maybe he would get a $30 million contract. But I think his opt-in clause, 36 million, 38 million?
Yeah, it's 35 and a half.
Yeah. He's not going to get that in the free agent market because, number one, as good as he played last year, he's been very inconsistent over the last couple of years. And so what does he do? He opts in, and now he's going to force Philadelphia to trade him to to some place where, say Houston, where you can get some assets. If you're Daryl Morey, you're going to opt in, you're going to finish out your deal here, and then maybe at the trade deadline, we'll move you. But, that team has a chance. I mean, right now on paper, they're a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, and a chance to possibly come out, the Eastern Conference if they can get it all together and get their ducks in a row. But it's a major distraction if one of your star players is only there to be traded, and it's going to be very disruptive. And you got a new coach in Nick Nurse, who I think is going to get a lot out of their players. James Harden right now, I think James Harden still believes he's the number 1 player, Mark.
Yeah.
And I beg to differ. I think he's a number 2, maybe 3. Embiid's the number 1 player on that team. So maybe he's tired of being number 2.
Is Dellavedova still available?
He's always available. He was on Sacramento's bench last year.
Was he?
Somebody whispers. Okay, we can go to a health club and get a Dellavedova. Come on now.
Yeah,
Come
James.
on, man. We can go to your local health club. We can go to your local health club. Lifetime Fitness. Forest Grove, not Forest Grove. What is it? Midtown. Yeah, we can go pick up a guy at the rec league to come and play a Dellavedova role. Come on now.
Yeah, James Harden is 33 now, and Woj is reporting that among the teams that are expected to have an interest in trading for him. The Clippers and the Knicks. So that'll be something to watch when free agency opens on Friday. We've got our buddy Kendall Gill waiting in the on-deck circle. We're going to talk much more about the NBA. We'll also talk, he's a big boxing fan, Stacey, so we're going to talk a little boxing. Also talk about his son, Phoenix, who's rising up the charts of top high school prospects in the country. So that's all
rising up like a phoenix.
That's right. So before we do that, I want to tell you about our good buddy, Jeff Vucevic, when it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business. Make sure you contact the king of insurance. That's nationwide agent Jeff Vucevic. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. Stacey, I tried to get Adam to sing last week. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I got Adam trained. He recognized during the broadcast that, his nationwide jingle is not up to par. But
right.
You know what? Adam is an opera.
I know.
Opera singer background. Did
yeah.
you know that?
Yeah, I did know that. That's amazing.
Did he even talk about his DJ career?
No, we didn't get into that. But
Dude,
Adam was great, man.
This guy's a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, before I was rudely interrupted, nationwide is on your side.
The Golden Pipe's still in good shape. Stacey's on the mend. We look forward to having him in the studio. You going to hang around and talk to Kendall with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's coming up next. That chuckle you heard was our guy Stacy King, who's joining us from his home. And now it's our pleasure to welcome in from his lovely home, Kendall Gill, our good friend. You see him on Bulls pre- and post-game shows throughout the season. He also is involved in the Parley Show talking boxing. We're going to talk a little boxing later, but let's start off with the business of the day, which is NBA free agency about to begin. Kendall, were you surprised that both Nikola Vucevic and Andre Drummond are coming back? It doesn't leave the Bulls with a lot of flexibility in terms of trying to adjust the roster.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, when Vuce wasn't moved at the trade deadline, that gives the Bulls no other, choice but to re-sign him. I mean, they gave up all those draft picks to get him. And, I think that Vuce is one of the better centers in the league, especially on the offensive end. Does he have some limitations defensively? Yes, but I think that, he more than makes up for that on the offensive end. I would love to see him play more in the post because I think that he's devastating down low when he gets the basketball there. Because not only can he score down there, but he can command double teams. He's a willing passer. And, you hear Stacey and I say it all the time. Stacey says it during the games, and we always say it on the pre and post game show, that play through Nikola Vucevic. And because the game becomes so much easier for everybody else when the Bulls do that, not surprised at all that they're bringing him back. Not surprised at all that they're bringing Andre Drummond back. I thought that Drummond played a great role off of the bench. And let's not forget, this guy's only 29, 30 years old, man. He's not very old. And two-time All-Star. And I think that what he gives you rebound-wise off of the bench, his physicality, I think he does a great job. So I'm not surprised at all.
One of the things, Kendall, that I said about AK, and I've heard him say it many times, is continuity. And I think the signing of Vucevic and Drummond is the start of that. And now you've got DeMar DeRozan, who's going to have to be signed at some point, and you've got Zach LaVine. So you can see them bringing this whole group back. But the big issue is you need a shooter and you need a point guard. And we were talking about it earlier, how people forget how good Lonzo Ball was for this team. You take him off this team. When he was on this team was one of the number one team in the NBA record-wise. They were coasting through the first half of the year. He goes down. It's a different team. It's been a different team this past season. Who's out there? I'm a big Derrick Rose fan. I'm my thing is bring Derrick in, kick the tires, see what he can do. I think Derrick still has a lot left. I think it was more on New York's part by them not playing him, because you hear all these people say, "Oh, he's done. He can't play. That's why New York didn't play him." Both you and I have been in this league, man, where what goes on behind the scenes. Guy may not be playing. Everybody thinks he's terrible or he can't play anymore, but it might be a personal issue. It may be something in management that's keeping that player from playing, and that's what I think happened with Derrick Rose in New York.
Yeah, I definitely think that, Stacey. And, it's amazing. Great minds think alike.
Yep.
You're exactly right. We need a shooter. We need a point guard. And even if you don't want to bring Derrick in here as the starter, you move Kobe White, who's drastically improved his ball handling. I thought Kobe had a great season last year once he got going. and then you bring D Rose back, who basically had a red shirt year last year. So he didn't have any wear and tear on his body last year at all. He still wants to play, and I think what better way to rejuvenate him than to bring him back where it all started. I think that the fan base would go nuts if they signed him. Jersey sales would go back up with the #1 Rose jersey. Everybody would be anticipating what he can do when he finally gets back on the court. I think it would be a great move for the organization, not only for the organization but for the city and Derek as well.
You know, it's no secret that ownership has said on the record that they're willing to pay the luxury tax if they feel they have a team that can contend in the Eastern Conference. AK, in his news conference after the draft, said if we're top 4, top 6 in the East, I think Michael Reinsdorf will give us the okay to go into the tax. And the only way they can add to this roster, Kendall, is to go into the tax. I mean, anybody that you want that is going to really help the team is going to command a salary, you know, in excess of $5 million. So they're going to have to go into the tax. You know, you're talking about point guards. A guy that, you know, might come in their price range is Javon Carter, who played in Milwaukee last year. He's from Proviso East High School. He's a guy who'll pick you up 94 feet. He shot 42% on threes, and he's a different kind of guard than what they have in terms of, you know, he will really give you that pesky defensive guy that I think could give the Bulls a nice balance with what they currently have in the backcourt. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Javon. I really like his game, but he's going to have a lot of suitors out there, Mark.
Yeah.
You know, because of the way that he plays. I mean, if the Bulls could you know possibly bring him in, and that's a guy that I'm willing to look at. But I think that Javon, possibly with his talent level, might be looking for a starting position. I don't know whether that's available here in Chicago right now because of the emergence of Kobe White. You know, you still have Io as a really good backup if you can't go out there and find a true blue point guard. So, I mean, I think that's a very nice option. But is he willing to come off the bench like he did in Milwaukee and do you know what bench guys do, which are very important.
One of the things I talk about Kobe White, you know, I think it's time to give him the keys to the car. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's ready to go. But what really scares me now is that the Bulls now, you know, allowed him to be a restricted free agent. And I could see someone coming up and, you know, offering him a big contract because of his upside and his ability as a point guard, 6'5", he can shoot threes. His defense is much improved. He's improved dramatically over the last year. I could actually see someone coming up and saying, hey, we're going to offer this dude a big contract to force the Bulls to match. Do you think they would match it?
Yeah, I think so because of what you just said, Stacey, his upside. The way that he came out and performed, because quite frankly, at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were saying, well, Kobe White, they're going to trade Kobe White because there's no room left for him on this team, especially with Lonzo Ball, the emergence of Ayo Dosunmu. But Kobe White emerged as the guy that we could rely on most. And not only did he improve his ball handling, but like you just mentioned, Stacey, his defense was impeccable last year. I mean, the way that he picked up, the way that he took it upon himself, taking charges, taking on tough defensive assignments, the way that he was able to run the team and get his shots off at the same time. I really loved his emergence. And you know, I follow him on Instagram, and I watched him all summer long. And an NBA referee told me this last summer before the Bulls came into training camp. He says, Kobe White can't handle the basketball. And I was like, what do you mean he can't handle it? He said, just watch him. He's like, I do enough games where he can't handle, I know that he can't handle when pressure is put on him. And I watched, and he was absolutely right. But Kobe White recognized his weakness, and he went and he worked out with this guy, Dribble Too Much, on Instagram. DeMar works with him as well. And he came back, man. He was a different player. You know, when you can handle that basketball and go where you want to go, and Stacey, you know this because both of us are former players, it drastically improves your confidence. And I think that his confidence was on a whole different level last year because I think in previous years he thought, okay, if I'm not knocking down a three, then I'm not a protector. But he's able to drive the ball to the basket now anytime he wants to. He's able to get where he wants to go anytime he wants to. He doesn't get flustered when they trap him. Doesn't get flustered when people put pressure on him. And, he's right back in the gym with dribble too much again this summer. So that means that he got a taste of it. And now he wants even more, which is telling me that this guy still wants to improve. So, you got to match that contract for a guy of his talent level, his caliber, that still is working and wants to improve.
It's no secret, Kendall, this team desperately needs three-point shooting. The problem is that most of those guys are going to be out of their price range. I thought maybe they could get a reunion with Max Strus, but now I'm hearing reports that he might be getting offers way over the mid-level exception. Gabe Vincent had a great playoff for the Miami Heat. He's probably going to be too expensive for the Bulls. A couple of names to throw at you. Eric Gordon was released by the Clippers yesterday. He's a little bit long in the tooth, but he can still shoot it. I mentioned Dante DiVincenzo, who was let go by the Warriors, and then Malik Beasley, who was let go by the Lakers for financial reasons today. Could any of those guys possibly help the Bulls in terms of a three-point shooter off the bench?
Mark, well, I'm a big boxing guy. And they say the last thing to go on a fighter is the power. So Eric Gordon in basketball, the last thing to go is the jump shot. So I believe that Eric Gordon is the guy. If we need three-point shooter, listen, it doesn't take much to line up a three-point shot, Mark. You really don't have to do that much. You just got to run to your spot and spot up. Okay. And I think at this point in his career, he's in good enough shape where he can get up and down and run to his spot and knock down those threes that we need. I mean, we really did not make the mark on three-point shooting last year. That was a big Achilles heel of ours. And I think that with you signing a guy like Eric Gordon, it definitely shores that up.
Yeah, but he might back out of his commitment like he did with Illinois.
Oh,
remember that years ago? He's going to go to Illinois and ended up going to Indiana. That still hurt Kendall?
A little bit. I heard a suitcase showed up on his front step.
That never happens, right?
I heard a suitcase showed up on his front step, Mark, right before signing period.
Like Stacey always says, he took a pay cut by going to the league.
No, he got.
They don't do that.
He got a raise going to Indiana. So Kendall, do you hear all the rumors? You hear all the rumors that the Bulls are still shopping guys and shopping Zach LaVine. His name comes up a lot in trade rumors. Let's just say the Bulls. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say the Bulls decide to revisit that New York Knicks deal. If you're AK and Mark Eversley, if you were going to make that deal, who would you want? What package would you want from the Knicks if you're going to make that deal?
As much as I love Zach, I mean, I think that he's one of the better scorers in this league right now. But I think R.J. Barrett would have to be a part of that package. Obi Toppin would have to be part of that package. And what's the shooter's name? The young guard that they have,
Emmanuel Quickly.
Emmanuel Quigley.
Yeah.
I might make a move on that because that's three high quality players that are young, that are productive players. So I might make the move. But in saying that, AK and Mark Eversley, what they started in Denver, they believed in keeping the core together for about 3 or 4 years to see what they had. We see what happened, okay? Because that core has been together for like 4 or 5 years now, and now they're NBA champions. So, I'm going to go back to the Joel Embiid quote, trust the process. And, I believe in keeping core guys together. I go back to me, Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Dale Curry, Muggsy Bogues. If we had kept that core together, we would probably have been facing Stacey and those guys in the Eastern Conference Finals a number of years, but we didn't keep the core together. And that was a sign of a young players plus a young franchise that really didn't know what they were doing. I believe that AK and Mark know what they're doing, and that's proof is in the pudding. Look at the Denver Nuggets right now.
Well, Kendall, I know you've been very busy taking your kids to basketball and golf, respectively. Let's talk about your oldest boy, Phoenix, who's an upcoming junior at St. Ignatius. He's really blowing up during the summer league season. I know that the open recruiting period is on. A lot of college coaches have seen him. You've been working with him extensively. What kind of feedback has he been getting in terms of the improvement of his game since he started at St. Ignatius?
Oh, lots of feedback, and his progression has been gradual. I don't think that he's still got a long way to go. I mean, he has all the talent and all the tools and everything, but now he needs to put the basketball IQ with the talent and the skills that he has developed. He's a very good player, and he was ranked just recently #1 junior in the state. So, hopefully he can continue. He'll stay humble, uh, listen listen to his instruction,
To
and
his father,
continue to
listen
improve.
to his father.
Yeah, but as you guys know, all of us have children. Sometimes they get tired of listening to their parents. So
Yeah.
um, what I've done is now I have contracted with a guy by the name DJ Sackman, who's a NBA skills coach, and he's the author and the creator of HoopsStudy.com. It's the most comprehensive basketball program that I've ever seen. It covers everything from A to Z, and he's going to be working with Phoenix now for the next 3 months. Our summer league season just ended last night, and starting Monday, Phoenix will be in a mentorship program with him. So now that guy can take the lead, and I'll sit back and monitor everything that's going on, because guys, I'm getting tired of the rolled eyes and the attitude. So so I gotta let go, because sometimes I feel like strangling my kid, but I understand that's part of it.
Yeah, one of the things I watch your videos with him. One of the things that you constantly preach to him is you put the work in, you get the results. And
Yeah.
a lot of times he's going through these workouts and you can see like, oh man, oh man. But then when he gets out on the court and he sees what he's applied off the court, and he starts to see what happens on the court when you put the work in, it makes him more eager to learn more and more and more. And that's what I can see out of him. I can, when I see some of those videos, I'm like, okay, I know if that's my boy, I'll be running, knock his little butt out. But come on, man. Because your dad played, 13, 14 years in the NBA. You're not going to get no better training than
Right.
your dad. And so, and a lot of times I think our kids forget that we played, and like, what do they know? I'm watching the new NBA now and how everybody plays, but you're a walking encyclopedia. You're a walking library of knowledge. And the one thing, like I said, I see him now, like when you tell him all, I see you tell him all the time, like, hey, you put the work in, you put the grind in, you're going to see results. And when I watch him play, I can see a big jump from his sophomore year to where he's at now. Is a huge, noticeably different player.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. Well, we've done the same things as Kobe White. We've worked on our ball handling really, really hard, because at the next level, he's going to have to be a combo guard. And that's what he is right now. So, might as well start learning the point guard position as well as the two guard position. And, a lot of it also, too, is the knowledge. And I tell him, don't get caught up on, the rankings and the Instagram stuff that you see the guys doing three step back jump shots and things. We're going to be fundamentally sound. And, because Stacey, I say this all the time. Michael Jordan, to me, was not fancy. He was just so good at the fundamentals that he made it look fancy.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and you look at everything, triple threat always, pump fake always, dribble with the right hand, dribble with the left hand the correct way. When you're on the opposite side of the basket, use your left hand when you're on the left hand side of the basket. Use your right hand when you're on the right hand. That's what it was. But he's such a great athlete and mastered the fundamentals. He made everything look fancy, and that's what I tried to instill in Phoenix, is that the fundamentals are key. After that, train hard, fight easy. That's what you have to do. And if you can do that, you're gonna go a long way.
I know you've been putting him through some drills, even some boxing stuff to improve his hand speed. I know you're a
Yeah.
big fan of the sport. Of course, you fought in the ring a number of times. You also do a show, the Parley Show, where you comment on boxing. This has been a really interesting summer. There's a lot of big fights and a really big one coming up. What is that, the welterweight or middle?
Yeah, Spence and Crawford.
Yeah. What do you think about that
Welterweight.
fight? Yeah.
Well, this is perhaps one of the biggest fights in the last 30 years. This is on the level of Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Felix Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya. These are two undefeated welterweights fighting for welterweight supremacy. Errol Spence has 3 belts. Terrence Bud Crawford has 1 belt. Neither one of these guys has lost. Both of these guys are saying, I'm coming to knock you out. I think this is going to be an all-time great fight. If any casual fans are out there listening to this right now, buy this fight because this is going to be fireworks. This is not a fight where there's going to be any feel out or anything. Both of these guys, and Stacey is a fight fan as well. He knows about this. Both of these guys are coming for blood, and they're coming to destroy the other guy.
Well, the one thing I'm interested in looking at, because, normally, as we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, fighters don't fight each other in their prime. Right. And now you're starting to get these guys, whether it be PBC, who's really putting all these things together and making these guys fight each other. I just saw where Kendall now signed a 3-fight deal with PBC, which now is going to put him in line to fight Charlo, Benavidez. And then I don't know, I think it's a rematch clause in between there, but it's going to force him to have to fight the best fighters, because so long, this is the reason why people, the casual fan has left boxing and gone to UFC, is because UFC forces you to fight the best fighters. Dana White makes you fight the best fighters. Boxing holds out. I mean, we would have loved to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fight in their prime. That would have been a great fight. It was still a good fight, but it was probably 10 years, too late per se, so that's what I like about the new boxing now. They're starting to put it together, starting to get the best fight. Tank Davis, just fought Ryan Garcia. He's going to be in line to fight Devin Haney or Shakur, which is going to be an interesting fight. I still think Tank Davis is the best in that division because he's got that Mike Tyson power at that such a small weight, and he can put dudes out. What do you think about his rise?
Well, I love Gervonta Tank Davis. I had an opportunity when I went out to Floyd Mayweather's gym to watch Floyd spar. He was getting ready for a fight. And Gervonta Tank Davis happened to be there and sparred before Floyd. And I'm going to tell you, that kid is a Tasmanian devil, man. I mean, he has power. He has a high boxing IQ. He knows what he's doing in the ring. Out of all the guys from 135 to 140, I think Tank Davis is the best. But, you got a lot of competition in there. You just mentioned it. Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko is still there. Ryan Garcia is still there. So Lopez also, who just fought a few weeks ago. So it's a lot. Boxing is hot right now. So if they force all these guys to fight each other, boxing is going to be fine. And, I know people say, well, the UFC is the UFC. Look, I give those guys all the props in the world, but there ain't nothing like a championship boxing fight. Okay, if you can go back and look at all the pay-per-view sales. Anytime there's a big fight in boxing, it far outsells whatever they're doing in UFC. So I don't, all the people can say boxing is dead and everything. No, it's not. Just put all the right fights together, and you'll see the emergence of the sport come back.
So who are you putting your money on, though? Spence?
Errol Spence.
So am I.
The reason why,
so everyone's picking Crawford, though.
Yeah, Terrence Crawford is a great fight. And this is a true 50-50 fight. But Errol Spence throws 100 punches around. He's also a southpaw. Terrence Crawford, when he goes both ways, orthodox and southpaw. And when he does most of his damage is to orthodox fighters when he turns left-handed. He's not going to have that advantage on Errol Spence. And Terrence Crawford is not used to a guy that's bigger naturally that's coming at you with 100 punches around.
But without the pressure, and then he uses the left jab that's his strong hand too. So it sets up that left hand later rounds for that knockout, which is I think that's what's going to be the downfall for Crawford.
Exactly, and Errol Spence is a master at body punching, and a lot of people are saying, well, Terrence Crawford is going to move. Well, what slows movement down? Body punching, and he's going to have to contend with that. I think the only way Terrence Crawford really wins this fight is if he catches Errol early, which is possible. But if he lets it go to distance, I think Terrence Crawford is going to get beat up.
Yeah, and I see Errol Spence doing what he's done to everybody else, just wearing them down to the point where they can't move. And then all of a sudden he comes in and just beats you. I mean, anybody who's breaking eye sockets, I would be I'd be very scared to get in the ring with a dude like that. You know what I'm saying? Kell Brook got his eye socket broke. Ugas got his eye socket broke. And they were really good boxers. They weren't like and what I say about Terrence Crawford is that he's a great boxer, but he really hasn't fought anybody other than, Sean Porter.
That's true.
He hasn't had the competition that, that Errol Spence is. Errol Spence fights everybody. And then people forget. People forget. It's starting to come out now what he did to Floyd Mayweather in sparring. Floyd Mayweather is one of the best defensive fighters, in the history of boxing. And for him, for the stories, Errol Spence got the best of him. Errol Spence, matter of fact, knocked his teeth out. I mean, there was a whole bunch of things going on that Errol Spence did in that fight. And I give Errol Spence credit. He ain't, he's not bragging about it. Sparring is different. Sparring is different than actually fighting. So he never really, rode that out. And, I beat Floyd Mayweather. He was really humble. That's what I like about him. He's humble.
Yeah, Stacey. And when I was out there at the Mayweather gym, a guy talked to me about that. He said, you see that kid? He said, you see that kid over there? Errol Spence was in the gym as well. He wasn't sparring anything that day. But he said, you see that kid over there? And I was like, yeah, I didn't know who Errol Spence was at that time. He said, that kid gave Floyd Mayweather the best work I've ever seen. He said he made Floyd turn on his A game. So that's another reason. If you can give Floyd Mayweather, Terrence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. Okay, so that's another reason why Errol Spence wins this fight.
Hey, before we let you go, Kendall, on the live chat, a lot of people are loving Stacy's beard that he's growing right now. And one of our, Eric says, the Silver Fox chairman is in the house, Kendall Gill. So maybe we can get a new sponsor just for men for beards. What do you think?
Hey, Stacey is the new honorary member for the Silver Fox squad.
No, Stacey's not. No, he's not. Hey, I can't wait to get to my barber, razor red, baby. We cutting this thing off. It's too much maintenance. It's like having like the '80s hairstyle that was so long you got to comb it, spray it, all this other stuff. It's too much maintenance. I like to just get up, wash my face, trim it down. It's just too much work, Kendall. Too much work. I ain't got that kind of time.
Look, all you need now is a fedora.
Hey, I was gonna get a fedora without the Silver Fox. That's a pretty nice look, boy. I see, boy. You play that smooth in the mud.
Hey, thanks, man. Actually, the Silver Fox squad. I'm actually catching a flight tonight down to New Orleans, so we're down there for the Essence Fest. So I'm headed out to be. This is my Silver Fox squad weekend. My wife gives me a pass.
Oh, there you
every
go.
Now and then to be a Silver Fox. So,
well, what kind of pass? Hey.
No, a pass just to go hang out.
I seen the Silver Fox videos with all the women throwing things. Screaming and hollering. Like y'all R&B band. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
You know what, Stacey? It's so funny when we go to these events. It is like we're like New Edition or something.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why these women are so crazy about this Silver Fox squad group, which I'm a part of. But hey, if that's what they want to do, we have fun with it.
Hey, Kendall, I got to ask you one more thing before you go. We've had a lot of talk about MJ over the past few weeks and some not so friendly comments and stuff. You got to tell the story about the one night he wouldn't leave your house.
Oh yeah, when he just well, Stacey, you know this how he doesn't like to lose, and I was beating him in Tonk, and he just it was I think it was 11 o'clock at night when we started. He didn't leave until 7 o'clock in the morning, and like I was ready for him to go, man. I had to get some sleep because I had practice the next day. This guy wouldn't leave. I mean, it was sick, his competitiveness.
But weren't you taking all his money, and that's why he wouldn't leave?
Yeah, he couldn't. I mean, he couldn't stand that he was losing, so he had to stay there until he won all his money back. Which he did, because I was getting tired, man. I was half asleep while I was playing cards. So, but I'll never forget. He walked out of the house with his shoes in his hand and his money and his sport coat. He didn't have any shoes on when he walked out of the house.
Hey, Stacey, you know what the aggregators would say? Kendall Gill calls Michael Jordan a terrible player at cards.
Yeah.
Terrible guess. Terrible guess.
They would find some way to twist it to make it look like Michael Jordan was a horrible card player.
Well, on Saturday Night Live, they call it the thing that wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
The guy's so competitive, he put up a sleeping bag in Kendall's living room. He wouldn't leave.
Well, KG, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great time in New Orleans at the Silver Fox meeting, man. That sounds really cool. We'll be looking for the videos on that, all right?
All right, thanks a lot, guys. This weekend, I have my fedora on.
All right, KG. Have a great time.
After seeing all them women throw their clothes up, I might have to join the Silver Fox Club myself.
Hey, don't turn, though. You can't cut your beard off, though.
That's right.
Oh, baby, I may have to keep it just for that. Yeah. I like New Edition. They coming out here, girls screaming. Oh, what's going on with the Silver Fox?
All right, guys.
All right, KG. Thanks a lot. We'll be seeing you soon. Later. Kendall Gill, our special guest. I tell you what, Give Me the Hot Sauce. You learn something new every day. The Silver Fox Club.
Yeah, I can't wait to join.
You know, Stacey, you're the sexiest man in Montana and in Paris. We got to get a new cover. You could be on the Silver Fox. We'll mock that up for next week. We'll get Stacy King, the Silver Fox.
After seeing KG and seeing all these women throwing things up on the stage, flowers, and I don't want to see any underwear being up there. I just you want to yell and scream. That's one thing. Don't throw any underwear up there for me. No.
Mm.
Hey, speaking of interesting celebrity stories, the video that was on Twitter this week, since we're about to talk about the hot sauce and our guy Christopher Walken, the Foo Fighters thing with the guy in the band doing Christopher Walken, that was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Is it Foo? You had emphasis on Foo or Fighters?
The Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters. They're my favorite. Yeah.
That guy was spot on. He give you a run for your money there.
It's Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to do the backup singing, and then they found out he was actually a better singer.
But you could just picture that. He's at Saturday Night Live. He wants to introduce the band the right way, so he walks back to their dressing room. Is it Foo or Fighters? You know?
It's a Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters.
All right, Chris, so let's sell some hot sauce. What do you got for us this week?
Well, I'm a little disappointed because we've been running these specials, and no one's taking advantage of it. And maybe it's they couldn't remember, but any order gets a free bottle. So walk in fire, not the restaurant, like I said the first time. You get a free bottle of 1871. But if you like the Q, just do walk in Q, and you'll get a bottle. It's better than listen to the Foo Fighters.
So where do they have to go to get this special offer?
They just got to go to the website, GimmeTheHotSauce.com, and put in the code, and I'll mail it to you. Oh, I'm sorry. That bonehead whispers. We'll pack it up and get it out to you.
That bonehead whispers. Yeah, we've heard of him. So what's the feedback we're getting, Stacey, on the Jewel Osco? A lot of people sampling the product and getting back to you?
A lot of people are getting it. It's sold out in certain stores, so it's doing well.
That's great.
Yeah, there's going to be a coupon coming out soon, I guess. Their digital coupon is supposed to go out the next 2 weeks, so.
Very nice. So go to your local Jewel Osco. You can pick up your favorite varieties there.
Right. Yeah. And if not,
GimmeTheHotSauce.com.
And get a free bottle.
That's right. On every offer.
That's
Damn good hot sauce, if you ask me.
Make sure.
4th of July is coming up.
Oh.
Make sure you grab you some
That's
King's
right.
Q. Woo! For ribs, burgers, Allah.
Yeah, some guy just ordered 4 bottles of each and wanted to make sure it got there for the 4th of July. That was that big box sitting out there.
Oh, wait. Oh, did our hot sauce packer make sure?
Yeah, make sure that it gets out on time.
All right.
Got to have it by the 4th of July.
Enough of those comments.
Hey, you be quiet.
Someone's got to be packing around here.
Hey, there was a big party in Chicago yesterday at the Salt Shack as the NHL draft was going on. The Blackhawks winning the lottery to get the first pick in the draft. They get Connor Bedard, a 17-year-old centerman who is being compared to guys like Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby as a potential next great. And within 24 hours after they won the lottery, they did like $5.2 million in ticket sales. The Blackhawks went from 3-time Stanley Cup champions to no one paying attention, and now all of a sudden people are excited again.
And did you see their next pick?
Yeah, the fastest skater.
He was going to be a
Oliver
top 10
Moore.
pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they really lucked out there. But the best part of that story is just a guy named Kyle from Chicago. Do you see that interviewed?
Yeah, this is a funny story, Stacey. I don't know if you caught this on Twitter. The Blackhawks general manager, who's a really young guy, he's in his mid-30s. He looks like he's 25. He was just walking around Nashville waiting for the draft, and one of the local TV stations was doing a man on the street thing. What do you think about the draft being in Nashville? So he said, "Yeah, I'm Kyle from Chicago," and he went through the whole thing.
I know.
And they said,
I know
"How many
4 out
hockey
of 10.
how many hockey players can you name in a half a minute?" And he just rattles off like 30 Blackhawks guys. And so the guy who was doing the interview had no idea he was interviewing the general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks. It was a good bit.
But then he says at the end, I'm actually the general manager of the Blackhawks, not on video. And
Yeah.
they go, "Yeah, right."
Something like that. Something like that actually happened to me once. I was supposed to do a man. This is years ago, and I was working in Milwaukee, and they sent me into Major Goolsby's, which was a big bar, across from the old Mecca, and they wanted to get some comments on a strike that was going on. I think there might have been a football strike or whatever. Anyway, there was a bunch of New York Yankees sitting at the table, and I said to them, I knew it was Don Mattingly and a couple other guys. I said, "Hey, you guys want to do a man on the street thing?" And so they played along because they thought I didn't know who they were. So I asked Mattingly, "What's your name?" He goes, "It's Matt Braunschweiger." And I said, "How do you spell Braunschweiger?" And then he finally laughed. He knew the gig was up. He couldn't take it. He couldn't carry it on any further. But we ended up getting raw interviews with New York Yankees personnel about the football strike. So you never know what's going to happen in this business. And Kyle Davidson did a nice job with that. Hey, it's time for one of our favorite segments. It's What Are We Watching? Brought to you by our friends at Biggers Mazda. Their sizzling new Elgin location at Randall Road is the biggest Mazda store in the state of Illinois. Biggers also offering a bottle of Stacey's signature hot sauce with first test drives of new or pre-owned vehicles. Everything from the coolest SUVs to the stunning Miata. So make sure you join the fun at 2100 Randall Road in Elgin. That's Biggers Mazda. Ask for our good buddy Jim Lecter. And Stacey, I know you've been convalescing. You've been watching a lot of TV?
Yes, I have. I've had nothing but free time.
What recommendations you got for the folks this week?
Well, number one, I just finally got into Succession, and I got all the way into the 4th season. And, I want to tell you, that show is amazing. I'm disappointed that it only got 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I thought it would be something they could get, another 3 or 4 years out of and build on that. They may come back later and do it, but man, I tell you what, that's an awesome show. Also watched Banshee.
Yeah.
Been out. It's probably about 4 years old. The original one on Cinemax. Awesome show. Got my guy, the sheriff. The sheriff on Banshee is the guy who's Homelander on The Boys. And then also watching From. I've just got done watching From. From is awesome. It's getting better and better, creepier and creepier. And then I watched the one more show, the Yellowstone trilogies. Like, it was 1812 and then
Right.
1920. I watched the 1920s with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Awesome show.
Stacey, did you watch Billions on Showtime?
You know what? I started watching Billions, and then I took a pause after Bobby Axelrod left, and then I took a pause, and they brought in another guy, and I really didn't catch back on, but I'm definitely going to catch back on.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because Bobby Axelrod's coming back for the final season starting in August.
I'll be back on. I'll be back on. Because Bobby Axelrod and Paul Giamatti's character really
that was the whole show.
Yeah. It was, it was like, cat and mouse. Who's going to catch who off guard? Paul Giamatti's wife works for Bobby Axelrod, and that's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
She almost have to pick sides. So I love it. It's a great show. I'm glad he's coming back because they definitely need him.
That should be a lot of fun. Whispers, what do you got this week?
I watched Extraction 2, which was pretty good. Looking forward to Extraction 3.
It's like Taken. Where's my daughter? She's under the couch. I don't know.
and then finished the Schwarzenegger documentary. So then I had to go start watching Fubar.
Fubar? That's funny, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. I can't get enough. And that's with his daughter, too. She's like crazy. She's just like, I too.
Yeah. My show, I started watching season 2 of The Bear. You know, the lip character from Shameless is the guy trying to open a restaurant, which at a place that used to be a Mr. Beef on the South Side. And season 2 is intense. They're doing, deep case studies on each of the characters. And the season 6 episode is a Christmas party where Jamie Lee Curtis is his mom, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, the length, the intensity of these shows is crazy. So I would definitely recommend The Bear. It's on Hulu. So check it out.
I'm going to.
And Stacey, your buddy Mike brought Adam out to the bar last week. Gave him a nice ride out there. You want to tell? You can't tell the folks about the promotion because he doesn't have the copy in front of him.
Let's test his memory here.
No, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
All right, Whispers, you got a pinch hit.
All right. Windy City Limousine.
Oh, boo!
Championship service.
Oh, come on, man.
Really?
You got to sell it.
I thought I
Sell
was.
it, man.
You're just interrupting a little bit here. Wow.
Now you know how I feel when you do it to me, bum.
Making reservations so easy. It's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you your destination in style and on time. It doesn't matter if you're playing sick at home and pretending to can't get to work. He'll come pick you up so you can get there.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, you really
Hey,
sold
that's
it.
a low blow. Hey,
Oh,
Tyson, go ahead
there
and
it
bite
is.
my neck earlobe. Right there, the earlobe.
No, I believe that's Galata. Pull the gloves up, Galata.
Oh no,
Oh,
it's,
shit.
it's Holyfield, baby. I'm looking for
No.
a piece of my hair in the rain, baby. Oh wow.
Contact
Wow.
us at 847-916-9300 or just go to WindyCityLimos.com.
Hey, we want to give
I
a
did
shout.
the worst read in the history of reads.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we got to have you back.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
be back, and there's gonna be a lot of throat punches passed out.
Hey, before we get out of here, we want to give a shout out to our buddy Harry Tynowitz, who finally found a match, a liver transplant. He's on the mend. So, Harry,
Yeah,
get well.
excellent.
We're all rooting for you. Way to go. You know, it's been a really ordeal for him.
One of the best guys, one of the most genuine guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah, so Harry's on the mend now. Hopefully he's going to be good as new before long. Really happy for Harry, and we send our best out to him and his family. Stacey, we can't wait to have you back in studio. We'll see if the beard is still here when you come in.
Now it'll be gone, Mark.
It'll be gone. Silver
It's
Fox
gone,
Club.
man.
You're not going to take a flight down to New Orleans to get it on the fun this weekend?
No, I'm going back to the goatee, baby. I'm going back to the goatee. I can't. No, I feel like I'm Rip Van Winkle.
Well,
Like I just woke up.
we'll put them in an envelope. We'll auction them off next week
Oh my God.
with a free bottle of sauce.
Oh, my goodness. Don't put it in the sauce, though. We'd have problems then.
This is what we come to, Mark. We're selling everything now.
Oh, my gosh.
We're pretty shameless.
Anything
around
that's
here.
not nailed down, we're selling. Hey, what?
That damn Whispers is shady as hell.
Put it on a T-shirt. Stacey, thanks a lot for joining us. Feel better. We
All
look
right,
forward to
boys.
seeing you in studio next week. I want to thank the Sriracha crew. I want to thank Kendall Gill for joining us. We'll see what the Bulls do in free agency, and we'll be here to talk about it next week on Gimme the Hot Sauce.